Welcome back to another episode of Mommy Cigarette Break. I am so glad you guys came back for episode 2. If you took the time out of your day last week to watch our first episode of our launch of this podcast, I just cannot tell you how appreciative I am. It warms my heart to see the comments and the feedback, and it means so much when people support the journey from the very beginning. Because once you've already reached a certain level of success and people then want to join the bandwagon, it doesn't really mean as much as the people who joined from day one, as the people who were your first listener or your first subscriber. So if that was you, please just know from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful for you. I appreciate you. And yeah, I owe you my fourth born child. Okay, it's time for our sanity check. If I can be completely honest, I've been running on E, and here's why. Number one, if you have school-age kids, this does not apply to kids that are in daycare because it just doesn't. Daycare is just different. There's not as much stress when it comes to daycare. The only thing stressful about daycare is the bill you get every month. It's a different level of stress for school-age kids, and here's why. By the time you get to April of each year, everybody in the house is over it. The kids are over it. I'm over it. I'm over the pickups and the drop-offs. I'm over the class parties. I'm over parent-teacher conferences. I'm over ironing the uniforms. I'm simply over it. We are just collectively dragging ass to get to the summer. Everybody in the house. And so, one, I'm running on E because the mojo is just low in general. I'm ready for summer break for my kids, and I'm ready for a vacation. I just am in need of a little refresh. And then don't even get me started on how stressful it is. Although I'm excited for summer break, it is very stressful when you no longer have kids in daycare because daycare goes year round. School does not. So then around April is when all the moms are really stressing because we got to figure out what we're going to do with our kids for the next 3 months. Because for those first 2 weeks where they're at home, it's kind of fun. That third week, it's not fun. They need to be in a camp. They need to be in some type of summer class, sport, something, because you can't literally just sit at home for 3 months and us all remain sane. So I'm just in the midst of all of that, just real mom shit. Okay, it is time to get into what's in the air. You guys know that I am a huge Real Housewives fan. That is no secret. Specifically, I love the Potomac franchise. Well, Real Housewives of Potomac cast member Wendy Osefo is getting ready for her trial. And for the people who have no idea about housewives, they don't know what I'm talking about, they don't know who Wendy is, let me tell you why this is newsworthy. Because number one, the Bravo to prison pipeline is strong and ever growing. The Housewives franchise is supposed to be about really rich and affluent women who have these, highly desired lives. Let's just start with the fact that a lot of these franchises have gotten away from the real wealth. And when people go on these shows, there is this pressure to have the best home, to have the best clothes, to get makeup artists, hairstylists, wigs, designer fashions, and all of this stuff. A lot of these housewives get in trouble and go into a lot of debt or, find themselves in trouble with the law because they are living lives that they can't afford. And it is behind this pressure to keep up with the Joneses. And it's not good and it's not healthy. I love Wendy Osefo so much as a housewife. She was the first Nigerian housewife in the entire franchise. She has 4 degrees and she will remind you of that at any moment, literally. She came onto the show like, you will address me as Dr. Wendy. And she has a beautiful family, beautiful husband. Her husband is a lawyer. Wendy is a professor or was a professor. And she also did political commentary. Very successful, beautiful family. And now her husband and Wendy combined are facing about 33 charges. And what they have been accused of is insurance fraud. Wendy's trial comes up in May. I just feel like it wouldn't make sense for me to be an attorney with the podcast and an unhealthy obsession for reality TV and specifically the Housewives franchise and not have us go line by line and break down what is happening at this trial. And as a fan of Wendy, I do not want to go into this trial assuming that everything that was alleged against them is the truth and doesn't have an explanation or hasn't been fabricated in some way. Because I need to remind everybody that in this country, you are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't work like that, in the court of public opinion. But that's how it's going to work here. But up until then, I'm rooting for Wendy. I'm rooting for Eddie. I'm certainly rooting for her family, and I am wishing them the best. But more to come on that. Like I said, her trial is coming up in May. Eddie's is going to be at a later date, and I think that it's just something that we've got to dig more into. In other news, Hulu just announced a ton of new shows. Let's talk about them. Starting with The Girls, which is a show that is supposed to highlight Khloe Kardashian and her friend group. So we've got Khloe, Malika, Khadijah, Olivia, Natalie, Nicole, which were, if you ever saw that WAG show that was on E, they were on that show. And they have been friends with Khloe for a very long time. It sounds cute. My problem with the Kardashians is this. I don't want to say their time has passed, but it does feel like their time has passed a little bit. I don't think that they are going to be the number one show on any platform anymore. And here's why. OG Kardashians fans will always watch their shows, and I'll tune in for a little bit. But the Kardashians are past the point in their lives where they're going to give us real and honest TV. Everything is perfectly packaged and edited to what they are comfortable with showing, which is fair, but I don't want to watch that. Not when I can turn on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives or Real Housewives of Rhode Island, and those girls are just telling it like it is, real, raw, and honest. I don't want to keep watching a perfectly packaged and produced show. And I imagine that The Girls is going to be nothing short of that. I'll definitely check out one episode, but I'm not thinking that this is going to be a show that I tune in for every week just because I don't really care that much. The other show that I do care more about, though, is House of Stassi. Stassi Schroeder, if you ever watched Vanderpump Rules, then you know who the Stassi Schroeder is. And I'm talking about the Stassi Schroeder that bitch slapped Christian Doty. Now, Stassi, I can't deny the fact that you make good TV. You just are a good reality TV star. You're a terrible host, but you're a great reality TV star. However, the North still remembers what you did in 2020 that was so problematic that ultimately got you fired from Vanderpump Rules. I'm not forgiving you for it. I'm still going to watch this show, though. I'll be honest. I'm still going to watch this show because I feel like it's going to give us what the Valley was supposed to give us and just didn't. If anybody watches The Valley, I stopped because I just don't care. I don't really think the people on this show are reality TV stars. I don't think that the show was all that interesting. It was a little bit interesting when Jax was on there because Jax was so problematic, but The Valley always needed Stassi. It needed Katie. Without it didn't need Shorts, I can tell you that. I do love Kristen being on the show, but I would have much rather have seen Kristen, Stassi, Katie, and gang, and you could have given me anybody else and it just been similar to Vanderpump Rules, except now they're grown, they have kids, and they're living out their adult lives. And Kristen and Jax, I was hopeful that they were going to make good TV together. It's not that they made bad TV, but Jax was so problematic that he ultimately got kicked off the show. And now it's just Kristen and company. And no, I'm not going to watch that. So I am excited for House of Stassi. I'm hopeful for this show. And so I think this was a good one. What was a bad one and what should have never happened was their announcement for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Orange County. Who asked for that? I'll wait. The only influencer I know that's going to be on the show is Bobby Altoff. I think that's what her name is. She's the one who does those clips with Sukiana. I just can't think of anything that I want less. It's a completely unnecessary show. The fact that they literally are calling this Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and half these women are not Mormon, it just doesn't even make sense. And I get the thought is like, okay, it really worked to have a cast about a group of influencers that are friends and moms and showing that side to society. I do think there's an avenue there. But number one, are these women even friends? Why this worked in Salt Lake City was because this was a true group of friends. They actually formed this group together. They actually filmed together. And there was like some crazy and scandalous stuff happening behind the scenes that made for a really good TV show. In Orange County, you just put together a bunch of random influencers and then you tie in the Mormon Wives title to it, which it just doesn't fit because they're not Mormon. You see what I'm saying? I'm not so mad at the concept. I'm mad at how closely they tried to tie it to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Salt Lake City. And I'm so distracted by that I can't even really get into the vision for this show. It could be great. I'm definitely going to watch one episode. For all these shows that I just mentioned, I'll give it one episode. And then I will quickly tap out. So yeah, those are the shows that we have coming on Hulu. It's clear that Hulu is trying to be the new Bravo, and they've got a full suite of shows. I'm optimistic. Okay, now let's talk about what's on the air. Real Housewives of Atlanta has come back on air, and we're probably 4 episodes in now. And I don't know how to feel about it. I like it. I don't love it. I watch at it, but I'm not deeply invested. We've got some new players. Portia is anchoring the show. We've got K. Michelle, who was previously on Love and Hip Hop. We all know K. Michelle. She is R&B and country singer. I mean, this bitch is shaking the tables. Yes, that's K. Michelle. She's a great reality TV star. We've got Pinky Cole with Slutty Vegan. She's serial entrepreneur, very successful. We've got Shamia, Portia's ex-best friend. Who else do we got? We got Kelly, who she has like a chicken and waffle shop. We've got Angela Oakley, who is the wife of Charles Oakley, former NBA player. Who am I missing? Drew Sidora, the Drew Sidora from The Game and from a number of other TV shows. And then, of course, we have Cynthia Bailey, who's come back as a friend of. On paper, I should be loving this show right now, and I've been trying to figure out why I'm just not there with it yet. I think it's because I don't love Portia as an anchor, and I hate to say it. I liked Portia when she was the fun and ditzy, ancillary player. This feels like Portia got a big girl promotion, and it's not really a great fit. When Portia is the anchor of a show, it just feels overproduced and fake. And I don't like that. It feels like, this is just across all Housewives franchises. I don't like it when a housewife goes unchecked or unopposed in any way. I don't want to see any one person that is like running the girls and there's nobody there to hold them accountable, which is what happened on the last season of Potomac with Giselle. When Karen wasn't there to hold Giselle accountable, Giselle was just running the girls, and I hated it. Portia gives that vibe. I think I might like this season, though, if K. Michelle is going to be the person to step up and check Portia and keep her in her place. I like that. Then I will like that. And we saw a little bit of that this last episode. Backstory behind this is that K. Michelle was in the hospital. She was coming to the girls to tell them what had happened to her, and Portia just blurted out, was it a miscarriage? And she blurted it out based on the way K. Michelle was describing what had happened to her. That was deeply offensive to K. Michelle, who is wanting more children. And I understood because it was super insensitive. K. Michelle called her out. She took her to lunch. She said, "Are you going to look at me or are you going to look at your phone?" And she told her how she felt about it. And I did like that a lot. Now, I do hope that they can like move past this specific, hiccup in their friendship because it was insensitive. And I think K. Michelle did what she needed to do, which was call her out and let her know, like, you don't do something like that. Portia gave K. Michelle an apology. Now I hope we can move on because this shouldn't be something that we can't move on from. But I do like the idea of K. Michelle being somebody who isn't afraid to check Portia or anybody else on the cast. I just like a good housewife show where there are checks and balances in place. And where I feel like there aren't checks and balances in place, I start to lose interest a little bit. So I'm optimistic that I'm going to see that a little bit more down the road. I just haven't seen it yet. So I don't know. I like it. I don't love it. I do think that Pinky Cole is a great addition to the cast. She is raw. She is vulnerable with us. If you've even been to Atlanta one time, you should know what Slutty Vegan is. It's a very successful business that she has, and she's showing us the financial troubles that she's having with her businesses. The only thing that bothers me about Pinky is that she seems like a person who is unwilling to accept help. And I'm trying to understand this dynamic with she and her husband a little bit more because she keeps struggling alone when it seems like she doesn't have to, at least from what I'm seeing. Her husband is like, "I will help you." And she's just like, "I have to do this alone." And I'm trying to figure out why. Why do you have to do this alone? Was this your character trait or, are you like making it harder so that it can be more interesting for the show? I don't know. She's already a strong Black woman. No need to be that strong. Accept support where you have it. But just in general, if we're talking about Pinky as an addition to the cast, I think she's really good. And then Shamia, I have so much hope for her. I'm just not sure. That baby is just corny. She's just corny. I don't know. I want Shamia to do well at this. I want her to be good at this, but I think she should have just remained a friend of. And I hope that she changes my mind. Shamia, I'm praying that you change my mind. So yeah, I'm not going to go on and on about Atlanta right now because I don't really think there's much to discuss, even though I just spent 5 minutes discussing it. I'm hoping that I start to like it more. I'm not that obsessed with it. But for the people who say, I want to get into Housewives, but I don't know where to start, might I suggest you start in Rhode Island? You're only 4 episodes behind. We're on season 1, episode 4. And these women are bringing it as if the cameras did not even exist. I couldn't be more obsessed with the franchise. We're going to get more into Rhode Island later. I don't want to get into all of it today. But if you think you could like Housewives and you have been looking for a franchise to start with Rhode Island because it is the essence of OG Housewives. It reminds you of what Housewives used to be before social media came into play and kind of ruined it a little bit because now people are interested in brand deals. They're interested in their reputation. They're giving PR responses and everything is just like overproduced and doesn't feel authentic. And that is not what Rhode Island is. These women are, it's like I don't think they care about getting canceled. They don't care who's listening. They're just putting their business out there and they are making good TV. It doesn't seem like they studied anything before they started this franchise. Like, for an example of the cast that studied way too hard and failed miserably is the reboot of Roni. I think that show was so bad. It was so bad. And they kept trying to have these forced iconic moments and they were never iconic. They were annoying. The storylines were forced. And I could tell you that they did significant amounts of homework to try to make a good show. And Rhode Island doesn't feel like that at all. Go watch the show. I'm not gonna get into the details of each cast member. Maybe we can do that on a separate episode, on a special episode, just talking about Rhode Island. But what I'm telling you right now is that you have homework. Go watch the show. If you think you would like Housewives and you're looking for one to start with, yes, the OGs are good. and I can give you suggestions there too. But if you catch up on this one, you'll be watching it in real time with the rest of America, and it's worth the watch. Completely separate from Housewives. I'm getting away from Housewives now. Something that is worth the watch that I was recommended to me this week is Million Dollar Secret on Netflix. It is what I would think of as a traders for everyday people. And essentially, the premise of the show is that there's a pot of money, $1 million, and you have to try to figure out who the millionaire is each week. Each week, the millionaire will have an agenda that he has to accomplish, and he has to accomplish his agenda without getting caught. So, for example, one of the agendas was like, you have to say no cap 10 times. And it was this older Black guy. He was a teacher. He clearly is past the generation where no cap would be in his vocabulary, but he had to just work it into conversation. And so he'd be like, hey, my name is Alti, no cap, no cap. And you don't want to be obvious because everybody knows that the millionaire, whoever is a millionaire, has this agenda. They don't know what the agenda is, and obviously they don't know who the millionaire is. So it causes them to overanalyze everything that everyone else around them is doing. Like if somebody walks in and gives everybody a hug, they're like, was that an agenda? And the other person is just like, well, shit, no, this was just me being a normal person. So it's just funny because sometimes they overanalyze things and they're just completely wrong, and other times they're spot on. So the millionaire has to complete their agenda and then go into the roundtable discussion and not get caught. If they guess the wrong person, which is what the millionaire wants to happen, then the millionaire lives to see another day, but then it means that an innocent person at the table is going home. Obviously, if they guess the millionaire, then he goes home. Or if the millionaire does not complete his agenda, then he's very likely to go home. It's a good show if you like reality TV, if you're into game shows, if you like traders, you will like the show. I advise you to check it out. Before I go back in, it's time for a little story time. So I've been in therapy for the past 3 years. I was in and out of therapy before I lost my son, but I started going to therapy consistently after I lost him. And so aside from just working through that and grief, we talk about, we work on all things, family relationships, my journey through motherhood, et cetera, et cetera. I'm in that age range now where me and all my friends are going to therapy. In fact, me and all of my best friends have the same therapist. Shout out to her. She keeps the girls sane, okay? So yeah. So I was in therapy one day and I was talking to my therapist and I kept talking to her about this particular person who that I didn't know very well, mind you. I did not know them well. I don't know them at all. But I was talking to her about this person who had launched this business venture that I thought was preposterous. I didn't think it made any sense. And I was being incredibly critical. And my therapist probably let me do that for about 10 minutes before she said, it sounds like you're jealous. You should just tell that person congratulations. And I think I came out of my skin because being called jealous is probably one of the most offensive things you can call me. Nobody wants to be called jealous. Nobody even wants to admit that jealousy is a feeling that we feel sometimes, and nor did I. So I went for the next 5 minutes, like, jealous? Jealous? Why would I be jealous? I'm happy. I have a husband. I have kids. I have the job. I have the house, and la 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 la. My life is perfect and blah. I did that whole thing that you always do when anybody calls you jealous. Obviously you fiercely deny it, but I went home with that of like, am I jealous? So first I had to admit that maybe there was some jealousy there. The second thing I had to do, though, was ask myself why. It's okay, guys. On this couch, we're going to be able to admit the things that we can't say out loud. I would otherwise deny until I die. But on this couch, we'll just be honest. There was some jealousy there. Why, though? Why is what I then needed to figure out, because that's the most important part. What I realized once I went back to therapy that next week, once I had actually done the work of this need to criticize something you don't know and don't even understand. And I realized after I did that work that it was because this person had the audacity to dream. And it reminded me of a version of myself that I had lost to motherhood. Before I became a mom, I was the most ambitious person you'd know. Literally, my old Twitter name was Ambitious Drive, which that is obnoxious. Don't even get me started. But that just lets you know I was such a dreamer, and I had the boldest, most audacious dreams that you could think of. And I never thought that I was the smartest person in the room. I still don't believe that I'm the smartest person in the room, but I do believe that I was a person in the room with the biggest dreams. I was the person who had the audacity to dream big dreams and the willingness to put the work ethic behind it so that they could come into fruition. And even if they didn't come into fruition in the way that I had originally dreamed, because I dared to dream so big, you know, it's that saying, shoot for the stars. That way, if you miss, you'll be amongst the moon. Because I was dreaming so big, even if my initial dream didn't pan out, it ended up going very well for me. So, for example, when I said I wanted to go to law school, I was like, I want to go to Georgetown or Harvard. You know, I want to go to one of the best schools in the country. Okay, I didn't get into Georgetown or Harvard, but I did get into Emory, which at the time was a top 25 law school, which it's not now. And that is just a discussion for another day. And so that's kind of what I mean. I set out to do something that I didn't know if I was actually capable of doing, but I set out to do it and I put the work ethic behind it. And no, it didn't land me at Georgetown, but it did land me at a top 25 school, which ended up panning out very well for me. That is what I mean when I say that I've always been a person that just had big, bold dreams. And then I became a mom. And I became a mom at a young age. And, you know, I wasn't 16 and pregnant by any means, but I was 24. And I consider 24 to be pretty young. I was in my second year of law school, and it was an unplanned pregnancy. And it completely threw me for a loop. I'm a very meticulous planner. Everything in my life before motherhood had gone exactly as I'd planned. And this was the first curveball in my plans. I think because I was so young, I clinged to the advice of my elders. And the advice at the time, and I don't fault any one person for this advice. This is definitely a generational belief, what I'm about to say. And it's not like just one person told me. It was in so many ways repeated to me over and over and over again. The advice was this: your life is over. Everything is about your kids now. Every sacrifice you make, everything you do is about your kids. And I think because I was so young, I felt like I had something to prove. I took that advice and I ran with it. And because I wanted to show that I was this good mom, that I was such a devoted mom. And on one hand, I believe I would have always just been that anyways. I mean, I love my kids and I'm obsessed with my kids. I think I would have always been a devoted mom to them, but I took it over the top. I stopped dreaming in the way that I had before. Every second of my day was devoted to my kids. It was almost as if like whatever I had accomplished from 0 to 24, I hope it was enough, because you just got to kind of ride out into the sunset with whatever you did up until that point, because now that you're a mom, your dreams stop, and, you know, raising your kids and cultivating their dreams starts. I stopped dreaming. I started coasting, and I started dedicating every second of every day to my kids, to my husband, to my marriage, to my job. None of it was about me. So when I saw a person doing the very opposite of that, my instinct was to be very critical. And subconsciously, I felt jealousy, because there was a version of me that used to be very similar to that I had lost. And once I did that work, I gave myself permission to get her back. And it unlocked a new world for me. So I no longer subscribe to this idea that once you become a mom, you have to devote all of your being to your kids. On one hand, I think that it made me a very good mom as I settled into motherhood, but that advice no longer serves me. In this season, We are daring to dream. So I introduce to you the Dare to Dream series, changing our lives in this new season. I no longer subscribe to that way of thinking. I no longer have to be jealous of people who are going out and accomplishing their dreams because I am going out and I am accomplishing mine too. And I have not felt more fulfilled in the last 5 years. All of my friends right now are in a pivot. I have one friend that just got engaged. I have one friend that I strongly believe in my heart is about to get engaged. I have one friend who went through a health scare last year and transformed her life completely. What else? One friend that's looking to buy a home, one that is about to have kids, one that just opened up her own law firm. All of my friends are about to turn 30 or just turned 30. And we are all asking ourselves the same questions right now. One, we're assessing our 20s and we're saying, what did I like? What did I not like? What do I want to change as I enter 30? Do I like where I'm at in life right now? Do I like the job that I'm on? Do I like the way my finances are looking? If it comes to children, some of my friends are starting to plan to have them. Others of my friends are asking themselves, like, do I want kids? Like, is this something that I want for my life? We're asking ourselves those big, pivotal life questions. If I don't like something, am I willing to change it? How am I going to change it? How can I set myself up for the next decade of my life so that I can make sure that this next decade looks better than my last? Do I need to make a career change? For my friends that went to law school, some of us are like, do I even like law? Do I want to do this forever? You never could have told us that we were going to ask ourselves some of these questions in our 20s. You never could have told us in our 20s when we were in school, we were in graduate school, that we might get to a place in our 30s where we're like, wait, so I went and got my MBA, but like maybe that's not what I want to do at all. Or I went to law school, but I want to do something completely different. I realize I don't even like the law. And we're at the point now where we care less about the optics of it. We are trying to go after the desires of our heart. It's less about what sounds good on paper, and it's more about what makes us feel good. And so we are in a season of dreaming, and I couldn't think of a better time to introduce this series because we are going to dream together. So like I said, whether that is related to your job or your career or your finances, one of me and my very good friends, we're like, you know what? I realized that I'm not good with finances, and nobody ever taught me how to be good with finances. So in this season, we're about to figure this shit out. And so she and I we are like sharing the books and the tips and the podcast and the financial advisors. Here's the thing. When we get to the end of our lives, when we get to the end of our careers, the only person we have to answer to is ourselves for why we did or did not go after a certain thing. I refuse to be that person that gets to the end of my career and is like, well, I would have started the business, but my husband didn't support me, or I would have started the influencing, but for insert bullshit reason. I don't believe in living a life of excuses because at the end of the day, the only person you have to answer to is you. So we are going to tell fear be damned in this season. And if you've ever been in a position where it's like, okay, you had this idea, you said it out loud to someone and they immediately discouraged you, discredited you, told you don't do it, or told you to rethink it, told you were underqualified, which happens to so many of us, this series is for you because this is your safe space where you can say your dreams out loud and you are going to be met with encouragement and support. And we are going to together take the steps to go after our dreams because we can't just say, I want to start the business. We have to put action behind that. We can't just say, I want to start the podcast. You got to set up, baby, and start recording. As we go through this series over the next 5 weeks, we are going to dream together because what better time than now? There's no one better for the vision that God gave you than you. And sometimes you have to do it alone. Stop looking for the partner. Stop looking for the friend to do it with you. Sometimes God planted the vision in you, and He's waiting for you to take the next steps to bring it to fruition. And so we're going to do that together. We're telling fear be damned. We're going to do it scared. This is a safe space. This is your support group. And I cannot wait to see what we are able to do together. So we are going to do dream check-ins. You can DM me. You can email mommycigarettebreak@gmail.com. You can comment on the YouTube. I will make a post. Whichever way you want to get me your dream check-in, get it to me. And as we go through the series, I will share dream check-ins unless you tell me don't share. And then of course I will not share it. I want everyone to know that you are not alone, that you have community, that you have fellow dreamers, and that you're not the only person scared. I'm scared shitless to be on this podcast right now talking to you. What if somebody judges me? What if they don't like it? What if it fails? How do I even do it? Am I doing it wrong? Is this the wrong direction? Am I staying aligned with God's will for my life? We're doing it in this new season, and I'm so excited, and I couldn't be more excited to do it with you. We are about to change our lives in the most beautiful way. Okay, guys, break's over. It is time to get back into the chaos of your week. I hope that this podcast is leaving you better than it found you. I hope that you have a little bit more mojo to go back into the week. Don't forget to send me your dream check-ins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with anybody that you think it will be a blessing to. And I will see you back here in the same place at the same time next week. Bye.